peak social activism in the workplace. There was a petition, like 1,000 people signed it.
That was fake.
Everybody, the board, the independent auditors, everybody was like, this guy's done nothing wrong. We completely have his back.
No,
but
I can tell you exactly what happens.
Who'd have thought we'd ever be in a position of defending Bobby Kotick from a company like Geo Media? But when you dive in deeper, you find out the information that's transpiring and you see just how nefarious the underbelly of the gaming industry can be. You start to realize that, yeah, sure, Bobby Kotick's probably made some bad decisions in his day and might be quite the aggressive leader of a company. But the things that have transpired regarding Kotaku and their parent company, Geo Media, going after him with knowingly wrong information just to push in an agenda against him and try to tear him down, you start to relate more with what this guy had to deal with along the way and how it might not have all been his fault. But here I am finding myself doing just that when I see Bobby Kotick moving forward with a lawsuit against Kotaku's parent company, Geo Media, for defamation of character and knowingly pushing forward lies about him and his organization and treatment of employees and the alleged slimeball that he is with all these stories that Kotaku continued to perpetuate forward alongside with their sister company Gizmodo, which is also owned by Geo Media. And this all reminds me of a situation a few years back with that kid with the half black, half red face paint at the Kansas City Chiefs game to support his team. How Deadspin was trying to spin that as some sort of blackface racism when they didn't show the other side of his face and he just had his face colored painted to be supporting his team. Deadspin was pushing forward a false story, a lie purposefully to drum up attention and get clicks. Something I personally have noticed outlets like Kotaku doing for the better part of the last decade or more. And here we actually find ourselves with somebody in the position to actually sue them. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I wrote this article up over on smashjt.com about the lawsuit that could actually be the end of Kotaku as we know it. The former Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick is filing a defamation lawsuit against media outlets over discrimination comments that they claimed that he made along the way, when at the end of the day, nope, it was just Kotaku being Kotaku. JT. Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article that I'm going to be going through in this video. And a special shout out to Hypnotic, I don't want to forget him this time, who covered this story first and alerted me of the situation. And I was completely blown away when I watched his video. He did a great job covering it like he always does. And I wanted to make sure I dove into this even further to find out more information. And holy crap, what I saw was there's a full-on podcast covering a lot of these allegations himself and talking about how it's a coordinated effort with unions going after him, trying to take down Activision Blizzard because they wouldn't bend the knee to them and all their demands. And this is kind of the dark underbelly of the game industry that we get to when we start seeing the tactics that get used behind the scenes in order to throw people under the bus for their own survival. This lawsuit could actually be the end of Kotaku. The former CEO of Activision Blizzard has filed a defamation lawsuit against Geo Media, specifically targeting its subsidiaries Kotaku and Gizmodo. And no, the irony of this suit going after the very same outlet that employed a quote-unquote journalist suing me for similar allegations is not lost on me. This suit, however, was filed with the Superior Court of Delaware and specifically alleges that both outlets deliberately misrepresented Kotick by referencing withdrawn allegations of discrimination and workplace harassment in their coverage of rumored interest in acquiring TikTok. Could you believe that? Kotaku pushing misinformation after it was already determined to be proven false and not correct, and then still using it like it's the truth to push an agenda and potentially an ideology. Kotaku doing that? Wow. Who'd have thought? Anyways, Kotick contends that these articles were penned with the malicious purpose of causing further harm to his reputation, despite these very allegations that had already been dismissed. According to details published by Courthouse News Service on March 13th, 2025, Kotick's complaint claims that the disputed articles had nothing to do with Activision Blizzard. Instead, they were just reports about speculation that Kotick was part of a group looking to purchase TikTok in the United States. Despite the topic at hand, Kotaku and Gizmodo specifically allegedly went out of their way to reference the withdrawn discrimination allegations, which Kotick claims were conclusively disproven by numerous investigations. But having the truth out there and proven to be factual did not stop, allegedly, Kotaku and Gizmodo from moving forward with those, we still feel this way about him anyways, so we're gonna still say this crap about him, because who cares about the truth when we have an agenda to push against somebody?
My general counsel said, yeah, we got these investigations, but like, we don't have any issues. We're not worried about this. And he said, came to the board, said, yeah, we got the EEOC and the California Department of Fair Employment and Housing, but we turned over all of our documentation. We don't have any issues here. This is not something to be concerned about.
Kotick asserts that these references were entirely unnecessary and defamatory, and that Geo Media knowingly propagated falsehoods even further. The lawsuit points out that despite multiple requests from Kotick and his representatives to correct the record, Kotaku and Gizmodo only made partial amendments. And here on the article, we have this initial post from Gizmodo I found on X that said, Bobby Kotick, disgraced former CEO of Activision Blizzard, reportedly wants to buy TikTok. And this is still up and active as of recording this video right now. But when you click on the article, they updated the title within it that says, Bobby Kotick, former CEO of Activision Blizzard, reportedly wants to buy TikToks. Do you notice that they removed the word disgraced there? And I really hate how Kotaku specifically is putting me in a position to defend Kotick here, because of all the people in the world I would think I would never be defending in a video, it would be Bobby Kotick. Seeing how Kotaku specifically had employed a journalist that is now currently suing me for the same type of thing, for defamatory stuff, I can't help but relate to Bobby Kotick with what he's dealing with out of this outlet, and how these types of people are honestly, in my humble opinion, not very good people.
I can tell you exactly what happened. So the Communication Workers of America Union started looking at technology. They kept losing because they represented like the News Guild, Comcast, and they realized they're losing members at a really dramatic rate. So they got to figure out, how do they get new union members?
Activision Blizzard came under intense scrutiny back in 2021 when the California Civil Rights Department, or the CRD, launched an investigation into potential workplace sexual harassment and discrimination. And that led to multiple legal actions, including a lawsuit filed by CRD themselves. However, in 2023, Activision Blizzard and the CRD reached a settlement of $54 million, with the agreement explicitly stating that no court or any independent investigation has substantiated any allegations of systematic sexual harassment, nor that the company's senior executives had ignored, condoned, or tolerated that kind of behavior.
So they came up with this plan. They hired a PR firm and they started attacking our company. They got these two agencies to file these lawsuits that claimed like there was some sexual harassment at the company. We didn't have any of that. And ultimately they had to admit that it was not truthful and withdraw the complaints. But this was the way that they...
But they don't have any liability for doing it.
Because it's privilege.
And the damage is already done.
Well, it was the plan.
Right.
And
did you know that was did you recognize at the time that this was all happening, or only in hindsight?
I've seen it in another company. They knew in advance that a lot of the press was made up by union activists.
I didn't know any of it.
Despite the legal conclusion that put a cap on the situation, Kotick now alleges that Geo Media intentionally omitted those key facts, opting to then instead repeat the discredited claims moving forward in an effort to further damage his reputation.
We're able to do this, and they're so clever. They realized that would be a thing that they then could come into a company, because we pay well, we have great benefits, great working
Say there's a problem
environment,
and then unionize.
and they could say, hey, the culture is bad, like people are harassed or they're retaliated against or there's discrimination. And so it was like the guy and the lady who ran CWA, they are really smart.
Just a month after filing the lawsuit, Kotick addressed Activision Blizzard's legal battles on a podcast hosted by venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins. In it, he dismissed the multiple lawsuits against the company as fake lawsuits, and went as far as to claim that the 2021 employee petition demanding his resignation, which amassed over 1,800 signatures, was also fake.
2022.
2020,
COVID-ish, right?
2021.
Peak social activism in the workplace. There was a petition, like 1,000 people signed it.
That was fake.
Everybody, the board, the independent auditors, everybody was like, this guy's done nothing wrong.
Kotick suggested that the Communications Workers of America, or the CWA union, was behind much of the legal trouble faced by Activision Blizzard, among others like Tesla and SpaceX that he talks about as well. He accused the union of orchestrating a coordinated smear campaign against the company by enlisting the government to file lawsuits as a part of a broader effort to push for additional unionization.
So they targeted a bunch of different businesses, Google, some other tech companies, Tesla and SpaceX, and us. And it's the power of unions. I didn't really understand this until we went through this process. They were able to get a government agency, the EEOC, and a state employment agency called the Department of Fair Employment and Housing to file fake lawsuits against companies like us and Riot Games, making allegations about the workplace that they weren't true.
The CWA, of course, denied these claims in a statement to gaming news outlet Rock, Paper, Shotgun, and made it sure to go the extra step and remind the public that Kotick himself had previously apologized for workplace misconduct under his leadership following a $18 million settlement with the EEOC Commission back in 2021. So the situation is messy and goes on from there, but that's basically the long and short of it. Is this lawsuit Bobby Kotick is pushing against GO Media right now could set a standard, a precedent moving forward for how journalistic outlets are able to handle dealing with these corporate affairs. The lawsuit now being officially filed, Kotick is seeking damages that are determined at the trial. If successful, this case could set a precedent regarding media accountability in general, particularly in cases where past allegations, regardless of their resolution, are continuously being resurfaced on unrelating reporting, like basically just pushing them forward saying, hey, here's a situation that came up that has nothing to do with all that other stuff, but let's make sure we remind you of all that other stuff of this person and how we hate them so much and why we hate them because they're awful, just to plant those seeds in your brain to make sure we slant how you view this person going into something that has literally nothing to do with the article at hand. Complicating that even further, an outlet like Kotaku or Gizmodo doing such a thing on somebody who has already settled a case to move forward saying that no wrongdoing had been done, nothing took place. They are not the bad guy or in the wrong according to the filing. And still to proceed to try to slander or libel a person after that had already been done is not a great look. And yes, I do see both sides of the situation, but it's really hard to be sympathetic and empathetic to a place like Kotaku when they have someone that was a former employee over there suing me for something very similar. And I'm just like, you know what? It's really hard for me to say, yeah, I feel bad for Kotaku. I hope they're able to get through this. No, at the end of the day, I'm looking at this as the potential end of Kotaku, similar to what happened to Deadspin if Bobby Kotick is successful. So I'll be watching this one really closely. I am extremely curious to see what happens next. I'm going to leave it there. If you guys want more information, check out smashjt.com. I will link this article in the description below. If you appreciate what I'm doing, hit that join button. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, you stay smashing.
And my general counsel came from Procter & Gamble. He was like we hired a lawyer from Skadden Arps 15 years ago to run our compliance department. And she's a killer. And I'm one of those people, I think it's probably from my upbringing, but when I heard about things that were inappropriate conduct in the workplace, I just fired people on the spot. My view is you don't want to have a culture where there was any kind of discrimination, retaliation, misconduct. You just don't it's bad for recruiting and it's bad for retention.
Smash J, Smash J, Smash Precedent.